What fake thing that happens in movies pisses you off? Hacking anything in seconds. Digging graves in wooded areas. There are frocking roots everywhere. You can't dig a 6-foot grave with a pair of shovels in an hour. That shit takes time. Are people shooting at you? Take cover behind anything. Car doors, drywall, couches, tables, cardboard boxes. It doesn't matter. Everything is bulletproof. Mafia guys, mobsters or hitmen. People who are in the business of killing people and disappearing inconveniences are intentionally clumsy or stupid when it comes to kill the protagonist. No double tap. Overcomplicated killing. Taking their sweet time. Not putting more than 1 or 2 henchmen for a particularly dangerous hostage. When watching a show with intelligence operatives or some top-secret command facility, everyone has Bluetooth earbuds and are handing each other classified files on USB sticks. In reality, bringing wireless devices and portable media like that into a top-secret classified facility would be punishable by up to 5 years in prison. 1. Where a witness confesses on the stand. 2. There's sudden surprise prosecution evidence. 3. Witnesses monologuing on the stand. 4. Minimal hearsay objections. 5. So much forensic evidence. Drives me batty. The fresh out of college student scoring a great apartment in a swanky part of town while working minimum wage job for themselves. In reality, you'd have 4 roommates for such a place. Or you're living in a dump in a bad part of town. When someone throws a grenade into a building and the whole building blows up. After a hit to the head or being knocked unconscious, people are fine after a minute. Concussions don't seem to exist in movies. Shooting the monitor as a way of stopping the computer. That everyone in a Tom Cruise movie is the same height or shorter than him. I know it's the most common one, but since it hasn't been mentioned yet, I'll mention it. Gun reloads, or lack thereof, and the insane amount of ammunition the protagonist is carrying. Edit. Guys, come on, everyone's been commenting the same reply of how John Wick doesn't fall under this criteria for the past 24 hours. I know, okay. I get ITXD, please stop lol. People sneaking around inside air ducts. Don't get me wrong. In big buildings you absolutely can walk around in there. I've done it a lot. But 1. They're dirty as sin. Not gleaming metal. 2. There are screws poking in there and sharp edges everywhere. 3. There are lots of barriers to movement. Fans, filters, humidifiers, dampers and fire dampers. All of those would stop your progress. 4. It's not a quiet process. That metal bongs and clunks like crazy under your weight. Movie depictions of childbirth are often ridiculously wrong. They make it look so easy, quick, and clean. This is not the case. Whenever some idiot is running on foot while being chased by a car that's trying to run them down, they without fail always run straight down the middle of the street, when all they have to do is simply run off to the side where there's trees and lamp posts and plenty of other shit to block them from getting hit. In that case, I always root for whoever's driving. Fire, lava, etc. has no heat. People can be suspended over a volcano. Or in the case of The Hobbit, surf on molten metal and no one gets so much as a blister. Homes are always spotless and ridiculously large. The member of the group that sacrifices themselves for no reason. All the incorrect, blatantly incorrect physics. The old out of the blue intentional T-bone car accident. Like the bad guy is psychic and knew when and where to be, and is totally immune to the flow of traffic so they could time it just right to T-bone someone in an intersection. Absurd. Not to mention it never seems to actually succeed in causing the death of the intended victim, nor does the bad guy ever seem to get injured at all. Every time a car drives off, stops, there's a sound of tires screeching, even if on a dirt road. Bad science talk in general. Acting like an easily removable piece of duct tape silences someone. Slight inconveniences that could easily be solved that are the main conflict of the movie. That a sample can be DNA processed in 2 minutes so you know who your killer is. Neck breaking for an easy or quick kill. I am getting sick of it. Setting off fire alarm, fire sprinklers. 1. Pulling a fire alarm will not activate fire sprinklers. 2. Setting off a single sprinkler head will not set off the entire system. Each fire sprinkler has either a glass bulb with heat-sensitive liquid or a metal fusible link. You need to essentially break the bulk link on each individual sprinkler to allow the water to flow. 3. The water leaving the sprinkler system will be black from the years of corrosion that occurs inside due to the stagnant water. You do not want to be around this water when it comes out. I designed these systems. I know how this shit works. Gift wrapping the box and the lid separately. I mean, I get why they do it. Multiple takes. But it always sticks out to me. Also, every bag of groceries has French bread. How terrible the bad guys are at shooting. EMTs, doctors, random hero person using a defibrillator on a person that has flat line. That is not how it works. You shock a flat line and all you do is make the patient even more dead. Flat liners get drugs to get their hearts beating, and then get shocked if that beat is abnormal. Doesn't piss me off, but as a paraplegic, whenever someone in a movie is supposed to be disabled and they're using some city fold-up wheelchair that you would see in a hospital or Walmart, anyone who lives in a wheelchair and has some minimal insurance or medical assistance would have a much better chair. I'm currently sitting with about $4,000 under my ass. Paid about $500 after insurance. The only time someone would be using one of those city wheelchairs would be if they were recently injured or are temporarily injured. When the plot necessitates the protagonist to be unconscious for several hours due to a blow to the head, then she just regains consciousness, shakes their head a few times, and is back to normal. I've had several concussions from sports in my life, and only one where I lost consciousness, and that was for maybe several seconds. For that one I spent weeks fighting nausea, headaches, and vision problems. My mood was impacted for months. There's no way I could just get up and start kicking ass after being out for several hours. In British soaps, which are sight in general, everyone goes to the pub every day but no one ever gets drunk. They also order a pint, take one sip and then just leave. When they give a person CPR and the person walks away unscathed. When you give proper CPR, you are essentially breaking ribs to pump the heart and sure, it doesn't happen to everyone but still see a doc after that. And anything medically related like EPI pens being used then magically all normal. All of these require being looked at a doctor, emergency care directly afterward. Any scene where chloroform knocks someone out in 2 seconds, I feel like Rio officially has gone too far. Guys who get rejected and then stalk the girl and win her over at the end of the movie. Women's hair is always perfect after a crazy action sequence. They're also wearing heels all the time, no matter what crazy stunts they're doing. Let me kill all the bad guys to prove my innocence. Hackers in movies. Enters a few keystrokes. I'm in. Firing guns in enclosed spaces not deafening anyone. Romantic dramas. Some stupid miscommunication that could have been resolved with 5 minutes of conversation and a phone call turns into some feature-length bullshit. Drowning revivals. Victim is pulled. Blue. From the water. Couple of chest compressions. Hero through gritted teeth says, "Don't you die on me, goddammit." Small arc of water shoots from the mouth of the victim as they cough twice and immediately regain consciousness. Sit up and ask what happened. Alright. Zoom in on that. Can you make it clearer? Sure. No problem. 2MP CCTV screen grab. When they take a drink out of an obviously empty cup and don't even bother pretending to swallow the drink. Is it so hard to just have some water in the cup? In action movies, the hero, often alone, faces an army of elite trained veterans armed to the teeth but they can't seem to know how to shoot, take cover, use tactics or fight. When people fall in love and decide to spend together the rest of their lives after spending 5 minutes together. The phone rings and the actor picks up the handset, listens for 2 seconds. Oh really? 1 second later. When? 1 second later. I'll be right there. Hangs up without saying goodbye. The actor turns around and relays a 30 seconds of details that he just learned in only 4 seconds. When an actor clearly has no idea how to play the instrument they're holding, they don't have to be an expert. But Christ, someone show them where their fingers are supposed to go. Or stop focusing the shot on their fingers. When someone is driving, and they look away from the road by looking at the person in the passenger seat for a prolonged amount of time. Or when they're constantly turning the wheel and the car doesn't move. Things like that bother me too much, lol. When they need a blood sacrifice and slice the palm of their hand. Like bro, try your earlobe or your forehead, you will not believe how much blood you get without risking important structures or having to wait for that nasty ass cut to heal. Similarly, deeply stabbing someone at a 90 angle and somehow getting a blood sample. Turning on the TV at the exact moment a relevant news report starts. College professors being shown living in giant Victorian houses with massive libraries. I used to be a professor, and can confirm that the pay isn't that good. People giving insulin to a diabetic who is crashing. This pisses me off because it's the wrong thing to do and it perpetuates a dangerous way of thinking in people that aren't familiar with diabetes. Everybody being conventionally attractive and just waking up like this even in a war zone. Scenes on the back of military aircraft. It's loud. You can't have a casual conversation on the back of a C-130 or a C-17 without the aid of an avionics headset. You can talk on a C-17 while in flight without one, but it's going to be a difficult conversation without the headset. A C-130 requires active yelling from the pit of your diaphragm to be able to speak louder than the flight noise. Also, people driving their private vehicles on a flight line. Nobody drives their motorcycle or their streetcar on a flight line without being obliterated by security forces or the MPs. In 6 scenes when no one struggles to get their clothes off. No fumbling. There are no awkward bodily sounds. It's just perfect foreplay in 6. Come on. No matter if someone is punched or stabbed or shot. They go down in one hit unless they are a main character. No pain, moaning or groaning. Nah, just conveniently down and quiet so as not to steal attention. The doorbell rings and someone answers almost immediately. There is a delicious breakfast on the table, but everyone grabs a piece of bread and runs off to work. The hammer cocking sound when the character is holding a striker-fired pistol. Racking the slide of a pump-action shotgun after the character is aiming it at someone in a life-death situation. And no live round ejects. Dumbass. You were aiming an empty weapon at someone. Lol. When the brilliant detective can solve the case but only if someone is willing to repeat the random thing they just said. Friend. I just had diarrhea, so I think I'm going to head out. Detective. Wait. Say that again. Friend. Huh. Detective. What you just said. I need you to say it again. Friend. Okay. I just had diarrhea. So I'm going to head out? Detective. That's it. Her diary. That's what's going to lead us straight to Mrs. Hamisham's missing head. Friend. So I'm gonna go. No one ever says goodbye on the phone. 2 tall ships with the wind behind them cannot sail directly at each other. I'm looking at you, Jack Sparrow. Sailed tall ships. A hot model falls in love with a nerdy guy because he's the only guy in the world who's nice to her. Guns that click and rattle and make all sorts of noise with the slightest movement. A hammerless semi-automatic pistol clearly making the sound of a revolver hammer being cocked. Okay, so suppressors piss me right the hell off because they make it this magical tool that completely just voids the sound of a gunshot. That's not how it works. Hips. Her staps. Com. Pop. HCDN. Co. Assets, the 15th of October 980x490. Landscape 1,425,420,483. Silencer. GIF. Resize equals 1200. Asterisk. When a character gets a full cup of a drink with a straw and they sip and it makes a slurping noise. Drinking through a straw doesn't make a slurping sound until the near end of the drink. When getting shot. Stabbed. Bones broken and beaten seems to have no physical detriment on a character. Get shot in the leg? Still able to run. Stabbed in the back? Still able to finish a fight. Ridiculous. Characters in period dramas complaining about corsets. 1. Half the time, it takes place in a period where corsets weren't invented yet. So complaining about tight lacing doesn't make any sense. 2. It's about as accurate as a modern character complaining about the confines of a bra. There are absolutely people IRL who find bras uncomfortable. But most people wear them anyway because all our clothing assumes you're wearing one and you need something to keep the badonkers in place. Corsets served a similar function. And so even people who found them uncomfortable would at least know how to wear them because of how ubiquitous they are. A relatively small woman beats 5 large guys in hand-to-hand combat. I grew up with 5 brothers. Had to learn to be tough. People order food or drink in a restaurant. Get the food. Never touch it and decide it's time to go. Horses constantly making noise. Neighing, etc. Horses rarely make any noise. Due to being a prey animal. Yet in movies, the Frockers have full-blown horse conversations with themselves. Constantly. Source. Own 7 horses. Spelling. Infinite ammo or hyper-silent suppressors. Corrupt politicians get held accountable. It drives me nuts. Too fake. When parents never have their baby with them and make no mention of a babysitter. Those MFers follow you around like crazy. Being able to leave the house alone like it's nothing? Absurd. There was a lock in my house I needed to open. I bought lock-picking tools on Amazon. Sure, I'm on a list now. I YouTubed it and picked the lock. How effortless they make it look in movies is ridiculous. It takes a little effort, people. Lawyers walking up to the witness or the jury. You are not allowed anywhere near either of those things. You stay behind the desk. The bailiff moves evidence around. The only time you go towards anyone is the judge if they approve a sidebar. High explosives producing a large, slow fireball. People in real life use toothpaste when brushing their teeth. Somehow there is always a parking spot in front of the building you need to go in. All building ventilation shafts are man-sized. Most high school kids do not call other high school kids by their last name. Hey, Johnson, gonna beat you up after class. Need a vital piece of information to solve a case. A convenient newscast will tell you about it. A shot from a 38 special will not knock you 20 feet backwards. And the Chekhov's gun is always so obvious. Main character gets a job in mall security. Early on there's a display of a motorcycle. Yup. He's definitely going to chase someone, or run away from someone, on that same motorcycle in about 20 minutes. The gun cocking sound effect every time someone raises, points, picks up, or looks at a gun. Also the fake, swing, sound when someone pulls a blade. Something that's only started to annoy me recently is when characters suddenly turn around to watch a news announcement, or something else on TV, when it was clear it didn't have the sound on beforehand, and they're tuning in at the perfect time. To make it more realistic they should have the character read the news on Reddit like normal people. The whole, "Oh no I got knocked out," and then no less than 5 minutes later, "I am okay and in fighting condition." That's not how that works. If somebody knocked you out you're gonna need more than 5 minutes to recover, and you are certainly not gonna be in fighting condition when you wake up. When there's a big fight scene and all the bad guys attack the protagonist one at a time whilst the rest just stand at the side. If you wanna win, all attack at once. When a computer is being hacked, we can't cut the cable. That's the last resort. Pulling out the network cable is step 1. You don't even need to cut it. All these women that keep their bras on during sex scenes. It's so unreal because everyone knows that even if a bloke has seen your boobs 20,000 times before, he's still not going to pass up another chance to take a gander. Standing under the shower head when you turn on the shower. That's it way too cold. The way movies and TV shows handle the childbirth process kills me. It's always a pregnant woman going about her day before suddenly she either feels a very painful contraction or her water just simply breaks out of nowhere. In reality, contractions are a slower process. You have them for a long while before they actually get to the painful level. I know plenty of women who were in labor for days. Some of them didn't even realize it was labor and thought they had the flu. Also, the way movies and TV shows portray newborn babies is hilarious. I've seen them use a literal 6-month-old in place of a newborn, and let me tell you, those are two completely different stages. Bad. Trigger. Discipline. If you, the character, know enough about guns to be a movie badass, you know to keep your booger hook off the bang switch. Using the heart defibrillator when person has a straight ECG line, no pulse. Character falls into water. Next scene wakes up on the coast. Every time I see this I think mermaids. The fake sheet dress. Who gets up and leaves with the bed sheet after sleeping with a guy? People knocking other people out without regard. It's not easy to whack people's skulls and simply put them into gentle sleep. These people are likely going to have brain damage with possible long-term cognitive issues. No one commenting about morning breath during morning sex scenes. A night of partying, drugs, smoking, etc. We've seen a million movies with these things. We all know that morning breath after that is dog sit. Gun sins. Pumping a billion rounds through what is clearly an 8, 13, or 17 round magazine before reloading. Half the time there is no reloading at all. Firing a gun in full auto from the hip and hitting all their targets while taking no cover and little to no return fire. When someone tosses a rifle to their buddy and the gun weighs like 2 pounds and makes a bunch of click-clanking noises just from the guy catching it. The general lack of muzzle awareness. I could go on lol. When the conflict could be easily solved if the two characters communicated better. The lack of reloading in shooting scenes. Especially when the characters is using a handgun where, I think, the average bullet capacity is 6. You should have ran out of bullets 7 shots ago. Reload, goddammit. Also, when using a defibrillator on someone more than once and everybody just sits around, it takes around 30 seconds for those things to recharge and you should be doing CPR in between. Edit to everyone telling me the actual capacity of a handgun. It's very much appreciated. I'm Australian so my gun knowledge is very limited. Massive blow to the head. Hero is knocked out for hours. Gets up. You okay? Hero. I'm fine. Let's go fight the bad guy. When the bullied gives a speech to their bullies, and the bullies listen in silence. IRL bullies roll their eyes, pace around avoiding eye contact, yell over the person often with insults, and refuse to listen to what the other has to say, no matter how right it is.